going up against ShoWTimE, who usually doesn't take a whole lot of damage from that early game aggression, right? So I guess we'll find out in the beginning of this best-of-3 series as we find ourselves on Ancient Sister, and then spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner, we have GuMiho.
There he is, the Towel Terran himself, and in the top right, the greatest defensive Protoss in Europe, it is ShoWTimE. But yeah, that's really kind of the key here, right? Because it's funny, GuMiho like actually reinvents himself pretty regularly. I think he's most thought of and remembered. Yeah, there you go. Most thought of and remembered for all his mech play that got him that one GSL Code S victory. But since he's come back from the military, he has played a very aggressive TVP, and we saw that on display there against Estrella. But definitely ShoWTimE has to be better defensively, right?
Yeah. No, he definitely needs to not take any damage in the early game. So he's already looking around here, but not quite far enough to find that proxy barracks that GuMiho is building, well, really quite conservatively, right? I mean, as far as proxies go, most of the time they're a little bit closer to the Protoss' side of the map. This time around, though, GuMiho is... well, he's following it up with double gas as well, so what do you think he's going to go for?
I think probably factory and main base. I would love to see the proxy factory as well. That always becomes a very exciting game. Oh, well, if he's going to be going Tech Lab here, well, I mean, it could be like a proxy martyr, but it's kind of far for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit funny, that's for sure. I guess we'll find out. It is indeed going to be in the main base, but he obviously needs to get some sort of damage done. Now, ShoWTimE at this point hasn't scouted yet, so he doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against, and that will, of course, make this defense all the while more difficult. And getting a quick 1-0 in this best-of-3 series for Gumi would be a fantastic, of course. Maybe throwing ShoWTimE off of his game a little bit, who really needs to win at this point in the tournament.
Well, you know what? These proxy Marauder rushes are really scary to defend on the low ground with your Nexus. Like, you have to micro perfectly, and a lot of times it's like 2 adepts. We were actually talking about this backstage yesterday, where it's like, how many probes should you really pull? Because some people were making mistakes with that. And the general consensus amongst casters is bring a lot. Yeah, yeah. Don't bring 4. 4 is not it.
No, that is definitely not going to cut it. So GuMiho is going to save up a couple of those Marauders, and well, this is the very first time that we have a Protoss unit going across the map. Luckily for ShoWTimE, he is shading it backwards if he actually commits to that shade.
Uh-oh.
That is very unfortunate for him right here. And that may actually be the reason why GuMiho positioned that structure in the way that he did. Either way, he gets across the map, and, well, so far there's nothing to actually fight here other than a bunch of probes.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be able to get a bit of damage. Now, I love this from ShoWTimE. Look at how many probes he's sending. That is a serious amount. He's taking this very seriously. But in the meantime, we have a bunker going up at that natural. I think it's going to finish. So, I mean, there are possibilities of, for instance, this Nexus going down.
At least a bunch of damage was done right there to that Hellion. Still got a good amount of damage done. One of the Marauders gets surrounded, and it will get sniped as well. But this Nexus might be in a lot of trouble, right? There's a Cyclone on the back of this as well. GuMiho, of course, building that one all the way at home. Even going for the Cyclone upgrade right now. So yeah, Gumi is planning on winning this game very quick.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to see the mag field, but okay, I'm like totally down for it. Command Center on the way here as well. The Oracle comes out. I love that shuffling of the Marauder. Look at this. He pops in the hurt one and pops out the full health one that's in there. Beautifully executed so far by GuMiho.
Yeah, he might not be able to shoot up at this point, but at the very least, the Oracle is dealt with for now. Now, the Adepts are going to try and be as annoying as possible. There's a Void Ray coming too, and there's the Mule drop. Not a bad-mannered Mule, right? Just trying to repair that bunker back up. Does get the lock on, but at the very least, the Oracle sneaks away.
The Mule repair drop is so cool. GuMiho is so cool, man. He's like one of my favorite players to watch. Just so creative, so versatile with his play. And he does end up taking down that Nexus. And now with, like, yeah, he's going to have mag field. I mean, it's been changed, guys. It's no longer plus 20 against the armored. It's plus 10 against all. So, you know, maybe in general a better unit, but maybe not as strong against, like, Void Rays and Stalkers.
That was not the best control right there from ShoWTimE. Now, losing that Stalker relatively easily. Now, the Adept also gets picked off. Eventually, he's going to be able to push this back, and maybe the counter-attack can get some sort of damage done. In the meantime, though, a Command Center was built for Gumi as well, so he is ready to play the macro game. Oracle goes across the map, however, and, well, it at least gets a little bit of damage done.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, he runs out of energy pretty quickly. It was used for some defense back at home. So I think looking at this, no matter which way you cut it, I really do feel like GuMiho has gained a sizable advantage with the opener.
Yeah. No, he's got the second orbital command finishing up right now, right? So maybe the worker count is just fine here for ShoWTimE, at least for now. But income-wise, he's going to start falling behind. So I'm curious to see what he's going to be doing here next. So he decides to go into the Robo facility right now. I mean, it's obviously ShoWTimE, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to sit there and try to macro up. But yeah, sitting back passively here is probably not the best choice.
Yeah, like GuMiho is going to be able to just run circles around him if he doesn't figure out some way to approach this. By the way, the amount of Cyclones that he made, I find this really fascinating. He has 3 or 4 Cyclones right now, which is not that normal in this matchup.
Oh, he gets a scan and actually locks onto that that Void Ray. Hopefully the force field there prevents them from driving into the main, but the Natural might be in some trouble once again. Is there something to deal with that Oracle? Well, I hope so, because there it is.
Yeah, left that 4th Cyclone at home, so he will be able to pop the Oracle, loses 4 workers, but in the meantime, he's going after the Nexus for the 2nd time.
Yeah, if that Nexus falls another time, of course, that would be pretty much the end for ShoWTimE here. Does he get that Void Ray? He will get the Void Ray. At the very least, one of the Cyclones goes down as well. Oracle's going to start chasing this, but these bad boys deal a lot of damage.
Dude, he's just destroying everything with these Cyclones. Oh,
you know what we need? We need like a 1 medevac here. It's coming right now, but it would have been nice to see it earlier. It doesn't matter though. GG is cold as Gumi wins a very quick game number 1.
Dude, it's funny because GuMiho, like towards the end of the year in Korea, he did start picking up some steam. He got top 6 in GSL Codas Season 3, but did come in as one of the lowest ranked Korean players in the groups, right? And that being said, I feel like with this patch, the way that it came out, it actually is a very good patch for GuMiho, so that's why I've kind of been excited to watch him. You know, the Cyclone has been changed a bit. You can utilize Speed Banshees a little bit more easily, some things like that. So GuMiho, with his creativity and with his wide skill set of different things that he likes to use and do that's off meta already, I mean, look at that. That was a very different game. Like, we see Marauder Rushes plenty, but with 4 Cyclone follow-up, I've never seen that.
No, that is very true. Curious to see actually what he's doing as well in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, because Cyclones have been very popular there as well. I mean, we saw some of that coming out of Clem earlier today too, with some massive Banshee play. And I think you're very right. He likes playing the ever so slightly weird stuff, right? Yeah. Against the most standard builds, this man on the screen right now, he is very comfortable. But against those off-meta strategies that at least quote-unquote are inferior, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens to you when you see those units driving up.
Dude, that's a YouTube thumbnail right there. That's,
yeah, man.
That's excellent.
I would subscribe.
Definitely clicking on that video. But ShoWTimE's going to have to clean up his early defense here. Obviously, GuMiho really catching him off guard, and with that off-meta stuff, that's hard to stop, especially if you haven't practiced against it. So we'll see what he's going to do here in game number 2.
I wonder what versatility score GuMiho got from the other players. But it's probably not high enough.
Dude, yeah, no, they didn't do a good job of those, to be perfect. Like, the players, I'm like, what are you talking about here? This guy does literally everything. He uses completely different stuff from everybody.
You should have a little yellow star right next to versatility.
Right? Yeah, you might.
Alrighty, game number 2, we find ourselves once more on the map of Goresvan. And spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, the man who's currently leading this series 1-0, he is GuMiho. Towel Terran himself.
And his opponent in the bottom right, not having a good start to this tournament so far, losing 3 games in a row. It's ShoWTimE. I'm hoping ShoWTimE can make a competitive series. Like, I was actually kind of excited because, you know, if you're playing as a very good defensive Protoss, it feels like that's what should be good against GuMiho, because he's mostly just multitasking with Bio in this matchup, right? Like, he does a lot of harass. He's always hitting 2 places at once.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go as much into the late game stuff that we see some of the other Terrans do, right? Like, he's not like a Spirit or something.
If the game goes to distance, yeah, I think ShoWTimE will probably feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like the first 10 minutes or so of the game that are very deciding, right? And if GuMiho, like, look at him scouting around everywhere. He's like, I do not want to have a barracks in my natural. That would be embarrassing. But yeah, if he once again can throw ShoWTimE off guard, we'd be a little bit scared for the German here.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he can just have a solid opener, because that's, I think, all you're looking for at this point. He plays a very good reactive PVT. Does go for that cybernetic score, and of course, we're going to go ahead and see him throw down that Nexus next. And it looks like a very standard build here from GuMiho, just a Reaper expand.
Yeah, so this is in Group B of the tournament right now. 3 players move on out of the group, and the players are Raynor, Creator, GuMiho, Estrella, ShoWTimE, and Spirit. So this really is an important match for ShoWTimE.
You're right about that.
Winning against someone like Raynor would be very difficult, of course, and I mean, you're of course going to try your very best.
Yeah.
You got to make some assumptions as well about how some of those results will likely play out. So this is the kind of match that becomes, critical.
You're very right about that. And it's like the gap has closed a lot between the non-Korean and the Korean players, but at the same time, that's 2 Koreans and Raynor in the group, right?
Yeah.
So that's like, okay, those are 3 very, very, very strong players. So if he can take one of them down, his chances of getting out of the group go up like exponentially.
Stargate opener right here from ShoWTimE, who gets a little bit more space to breathe in this particular game. Nothing all too crazy here coming out of Gumi just yet. Opening up with the quick command center right now on the low ground, following it up with a factory. He didn't scout all too much, did he? No.
No, not too much yet. You know, I haven't actually seen too many ShoWTimE PVTs lately. Does he like Phoenix or does he like Oracle openers? Do you happen to know?
I'm not exactly sure what he's leaning into right now. I guess we're going to...
Phoenixes have been pretty popular this weekend so far, or this week, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's going to be comfortable playing both of the styles. We'll see what he decides to go for. I mean, Gressfan seems to be the most standard map that we have. Yeah, it's going to be that Oracle. Maybe he'll follow it up with a couple of Phoenixes here. I think Phoenix openers in general are really good. I heard there's another Dutchman at this tournament that also quite likes that unit.
Well, that's for sure. That's an understatement. But, they've been very popular. So, wouldn't be surprised if he does end up going into that. But the Oracle to open, you know, I always like these Oracle openers. They give you a lot of vision, the potential for some damage, reasonable defense, and he's actually going 3-gate behind it as well.
Yeah, we'll see how much pressure he's going to be able to put onto GuMiho here. Second Oracle right now as well, so definitely looking to get some damage done on the other side of the map. And I think this is the type of game that I prefer ShoWTimE playing, right? Rather than being... I know he likes being the defensive player, but this is almost forcing the Terran player to play a normal game as well, just because you are putting on pressure.
And not just that, with 3 gates and a couple Oracles, you're kind of invincible. Like, nothing Terran does can really... Like, let's say GuMiho wants to get really offensive. It's not likely he's going to really get damage done.
Hellion in the main base being annoying. Okay, getting a couple of kills right there. Not bad at all. I think that's maybe a couple of the Reaper kills as well. That's still going to town in the natural. Nice multitasking here from Gumi, man. Gumi has really been picking up the pace.
Yeah.
You saw it in the previous series too, right? He was playing fast.
Dude, his multitasking is really good. People were saying, you were actually saying that like he has like kind of low APM compared to a lot of players, but it feels like he uses it really well, the way he's jumping around and hitting multiple locations so often.
Yeah, APM is obviously, it's just a number, right? It's always tricky. A lot of players tend to obsess over APM a lot. I remember I did that once upon a time too. I'm like, guys, I gotta get this to triple digits minimum. And then you realize just playing.
That's true.
But just playing completely panicked out of your mind the entire game long may also not be the best way of doing it.
Probably not. And just because you have a high repeat rate while you remake 90 larva doesn't mean you have 1,000 APM.
No, that's very true. Oracles in the back of the main base right now, and they are going to be able to get in. There's a missile turret coming up, but it's not quite in the right spot, and neither were those Marines. 4 SCVs end up going down.
Yeah, this is some reasonable counter-harassment here from ShoWTimE, and, you know, getting a couple tags as well. He's keeping pretty good tabs on what's going on here. That third Nexus about to finish up, and Blink on the way. Like, everything looking pretty solid for ShoWTimE. I don't dislike his position.
Nope. And this is the type of style that he likes to go for, right? Just... keep control on the enemy, make sure you understand exactly what they're going for, and just counter that. Oftentimes it comes down to those very, very small, minute differences. Now, there's a pylon snipe over here. That's too bad, but nothing all too crazy.
GuMiho just being as annoying as he really can figure out how to be at the moment. Looks like the Cybernetics core just going to be rebuilt. ShoWTimE doesn't want to have to deal with this too much. Obviously, if you walk around with your whole army, he can pick up and go into that main base really quickly. So it's like, okay, we want to block the Reaper, but some Terrans will do this to you because of that.
Yeah. It's the eternal dilemma, right, as a Protoss player. It's like, do you really want to block the ground units if, you know, you're the only one that has Zealots, right, that are really hindered by it in the later stage of the game, and you lose some structures. Anyway, Oracles once again going back into the main base, getting a little bit of damage done. In the meantime, though, there's a big Marine stim.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Gets rid of that battery pylon very, very quickly, dealing a ton of damage. This is a lot of Marines, and ShoWTimE having a hard time. He loses his Robo here as well. Those Marines continue to pour on the damage, and I mean, it seems like ShoWTimE just doesn't have enough here. He's taking a lot of damage. I don't think he'll straight die from it, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Battery overcharge could nerf, but I guess it's a little bit worse if you don't have any of it, right?
Yeah.
Definitely a nice ability to have. Getting that Immortal would have been nice, but eventually that Protoss army does clean up the Terran. Okay, good blink timing right there.
But losing that much of his army and his tech with the Robo and 12 probes, I mean, he got a little bit done with those Oracles, but that was just a very solid aggressive attack.
Yeah, I don't think the Oracles in the meantime got that much damage in either. They've been trying to do whatever damage they can, but I think most of that was already dealt a little bit earlier on. At least he's got the third Nexus, right? He's going to be able to remake that economy relatively easily. The army from the Terran player at least mostly got reset.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah, now it's Marauders, though. Is that really what you want?
Right now, Disruptor coming up, getting that Forge as well. Charge about halfway done. Like, ShoWTimE still, you know, he has that probe advantage. Not a very large army at the moment. And GuMiho going to continue his harassment, dropping off a few mines here over at this third base location. Going to re-pick up a little bit.
Yeah, he's going straight into Disruptors this game, so skipping the Colossi. How do you feel about that?
You know, I like Colossi in a lot of situations, especially with ShoWTimE. Like, I like the consistency of the damage. But sometimes if you're not feeling like that solid, if you don't feel like you have, you know, the actual amount of units to support that Colossi, the Disruptor can change the game quickly, as we all know, right? Like, you get one good Disruptor shot, and you go from behind to ahead.
Yeah, exactly. You have a little bit more potential in that unit. Okay, he's going to be able to clean up those Widow Mines eventually, but those moves that like cost the Terran player like 4 APM to execute, and you've been spending like a minute trying to deal with it. This point in the game, luckily for ShoWTimE, there's not that much else going on, but it's frustrating, right? Like, none of this is really going exactly the way that he had originally planned, but at least he seems to be in a stable position. Comes down to the next attack from Gumi, right?
Yeah, well, when GuMiho comes in, ShoWTimE really needs to shut it down very cleanly. He does have the double Disruptor, sends one out really, really early there, and doesn't even come close. GuMiho doesn't even have to split. And now here comes GuMiho. He's been very good on his dodging so far. You see him stimming up and away from those force fields. It seems like so far ShoWTimE is okay against this. His army is actually starting to look pretty solid.
I love seeing the first-person view of the, you know, the defense right there. It's always cool to see. It's always a little bit scary. I think he was hoping that that Terran army was going to wander a little bit further forward. Now a Colossus, by the way, joins in as well, so
okay, I like that.
He's going to be able to get some sustained damage now, yeah. But halfway done with a ranged upgrade.
2 Disruptors into those Colossus. It's normally, I feel like we see it in the other direction a lot of the time, like Colossus into Disruptor, but that's all right. You know, he's got a good defensive formation here. Disruptor's always fantastic on that defense, forcing GuMiho back a little bit. Has GuMiho gotten the amount of damage that he really needs? Because we're starting to get towards that late game that you were talking about before.
Yeah, well, maybe these Widow Mines can make the difference. He's been so focused.
Man.
I think up until that point, no.
Yeah, right?
Well, now all of a sudden, though, this Terran army is maybe at this point not super duper scary, but yeah, the economy here for Protoss is not exactly where you want it to be. Now you've been forced to take the base all the way up there.
Well, expanding to the north, that feels a little bit far away for him to defend right now, especially with how GuMiho likes to play this matchup. It feels like you got to kind of keep a core of bases that you can roam between very, very quickly. Does send this little group of Stalkers up and will clean that up, but will he be able to actually hold a base up there?
Yeah, it's a difficult position. I think it's mostly because the Terran army was roaming around that location down south. Did he just kill a lot more work?
Yes, he certainly did.
12 more, okay.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit painful. It feels like he's just not keeping up with the drops, and look at this. A stim in with the EMP on the Nexus, targets it down in a matter of seconds with no splash damage here. GuMiho engages and is doing some serious damage to this army.
Yeah, he's getting pinned against the wall, though, but not a whole lot of anti-air available. No way to properly blink behind that either. and GuMiho does sneak away. That now justifies his opener very nicely. At least that medevac also gets cleaned up. Maybe a little bit of an all-army hotkey or something along those lines. In the meantime, GuMiho has made a new expansion as well. He's currently morphing that one into a planetary fortress. Now, will it be done before this Protoss army gets across?
Well, I do like this attack. I think that this is appropriate for ShoWTimE. Yes. He took a lot of damage there. He lost a Nexus, but, you know, he did end up killing some army. This might be his best chance to get some damage done on the other side of the map.
Yeah, good EMPs right there, softening up those Zealots right away. It looks like in the middle of the map, 3 Colossus may have been picked up as well. I think those were Colossi legs or glowing right there right in the corner of the screen. Okay. Not exactly sure what that was, but either way, there's the battle. Is there enough, though, for Terran to clean this up?
I don't know about that. With 3 Colossi, and now he's got the Disruptors coming out. He does target those Disruptors down very, very quickly. Oh my God. Just this arc of Marauders going to be able to take down all the Colossi. GG is called. And GuMiho absolutely slays ShoWTimE.